Okay, so as you can see, I got a really awesome thumbnail for this video, and it's almost ironically from a guy on Twitter who said that individualism is literally a psyop. So I thought that was hilarious because everyone goes way too extreme, way too fucking conspiratorial about politics nowadays. But anyway, so I recently read this book by the sociologist Ulrich Bech called Individualization, which is about the institutionalization of individualism in Europe during the Middle Ages. And basically, he's describing in this paragraph how the culture changed from collectivist to individualist, and it's just a really eloquently well put paragraph. And the important context to know for this is that basically he's making a point, and I think it's a very good point and well argued one anyway, uh, that individualism is kind of similar to collectivism in some ways, especially in terms of enlightenment rationalism, individualism, because it's kind of like you want people to be individuals in the same way you want to be like patriots and uh, be a responsible, working, productive member of society, and this idea of the nuclear family, and have a well, obviously that was later than the Enlightenment, but the job, house, car, family, that sort of shit that started during the Enlightenment. But anyway, this is a really good quote in Ulrich Beck's book, and he's quoting Jakob Burckhardt in his book The Civilization of the Renaissance in Italy. And so he's talking about civilization and the Renaissance in Italy, about how culture changed in the Ages, and as I was saying, collective or individualism took over the dominant collectivism that was dominant throughout the vast majority of human history. The way we see ourselves as individuals in a society rather than a society as a whole is like a very recent change in perspective in human history. Anyway, this is a really great quote. So Ulrich Beck says that Jacob Burckhardt writes that in the Middle Ages, human consciousness lay dreaming or half awake beneath a collective veil. The veil was woven of faith, illusion, and childish prepossession, I should say, through which the world and history were seen clad in strange hues. Man was conscious of himself only as a member of a race, people, party, family, corporation, only through some general category. In Italy, this veil first melted into air. An objective treatment and consideration of the state and of all the things of this world became possible. The subjective side at the same time asserted itself with corresponding emphasis. Man became a spiritual individual and recognized himself as such. That's a well put. Spiritual individual. You recognize yourself as like a spiritual, divine individual created in the image of God, which is like, a change in perspective about individualism that occurred sometime during the Protestant Reformation and the Enlightenment. And this idea of being a divine individual created in the image of God, that was also a very new perspective that began in the Enlightenment. And then now the more secular version is like, we're free individuals living in a free society. Let's all be free individuals by wanting to have careers and jobs and houses and families, and argue with people about politics on social media and binge Netflix shows and shit like that. Yeah, let's all be individuals by all being the same. Oh, and by drinking and shit too, of course, which I'm not criticizing. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a really good point in the book overall that Ulrich Beck makes about the institutionalization of individualism, and how that changed the culture during well, not during the Enlightenment, during the Middle Ages. That's an important distinction to make. But it increased during the Enlightenment. I should say that he mentions all this started during the Middle Ages, not the Enlightenment. obviously different time periods. But anyway, the point remains in this book that I think is fascinating, that we should all be individuals, but in the same way. And a lot of people are individuals in pretty similar ways, right? Like, think about the ways you're an individual, and think about how it's actually similar to most people. Like, I work out. A lot of people work out. I smoke weed. A lot of people smoke weed. People are individuals, and no one is the same as anyone else, but a lot of people are individuals in the same way as a whole lot of other people. Anyway, no, individualism did not vanquish collectivism. Uh, one is not necessarily better than the other. We're all individuals within collective groups, like he was saying in that quote there. Anyway, tell me about your opinions on uh, individualism versus collectivism. See ya.